Before getting a PlayStation 2, I wasn't able to play many video games. We had a family desktop computer, a couple plug-and plays, and that was about it. Thankfully, despite being held together by a combination of the most brittle plastic known to man and hope, the computer was able to run some games. I played a Spider-Man desktop game, a Robots tie-in, Pac-Man World, and the car game. The car game, as young me called it, was one of the only video games I've ever seen my dad play more than once, and the first game that I ever had real nostalgia for. Back in COVID times, I desperately wanted to replay this game, and I spent weeks searching, trying to figure out what that game was. It came from a box of Nutri-Grain on a CD-ROM, and it became one of my favourite games of all time. It was V-Rally 2.
Three, two, one, go!
V-Rally 2 is a rally game that was developed by Eden Studios and published by, well, a few people. When the game was released in North America, it was published by Electronic Arts and Info Games. This caused the game to go by multiple names within the same market. EA called it Need for Speed V-Rally 2. They had published the first V-Rally game also under the Need for Speed brand, so they kept the number 2, clearly labelling it as a sequel. However, Info Games released the game for the Dreamcast, calling it Test Drive V-Rally. They removed the 2 off the title, not making it clear it was a sequel, as they had not published the first V-Rally game. Other regions and the PC released were released simply as V-Rally 2. Well, not simply as there is also the subtitles Championship Edition or Expert Edition. Expert Edition giving the player access to one extra car. So, you could buy the same game under a number of different names, different subtitles, and even under different franchises, depending on where and what console you bought it for. But you would effectively receive the same game no matter what you ended up with. Now, as a quick side note, before we get too further into the video, I did have some issues with getting this game to run in full screen. So don't mind the windowed footage, that's what you get for trying to play a game from 25 years ago. I mean, have a look at the resolution of the original. The window is less than a quarter of my current display. Thank God I didn't have a 4K display, or otherwise we'd be really in trouble. So let's get started, shall we? We create our driver and jump straight into the game. The game gives us all WRC cars unlocked from the get-go, so we can pick our car and get straight into one of the game's 4 modes. V-Rally 2 features 4 game modes: Time Trial, Arcade, which is a standard checkpoint beat-the-clock mode with AI cars on the track, V-Rally Trophy, which is essentially a rallycross mode with 3 AI opponents, and Championship, a standard rally mode with stages, services, and a single car on track at once. I never spent too much time in Time Trial mode and the arcade modes. V-Rally Trophy was where my attention was directed most of the time when I was younger. And I didn't really have a proper grasp on the rules of rally, so to me, a mode where there was just one car on track and I couldn't ram people off the road was pointless. The track designs in V-Rally Trophy, and also some arcade levels, are pretty fun. Some of them feature shortcuts, allowing you to cheese the opponents, and some of the stages do get pretty tricky, so you'll need all your cunning and skill to exploit the game. Also, the game doesn't always react well to colliding with cars, so one wrong bump can put you at a big disadvantage. But overall, V-Rally Trophy does give the quickest injection of fun when playing. Pick a track, a random class, and go ham. Championship mode, however, is where I found most of my enjoyment while playing the game now as an adult. In hindsight, like I said, the physics don't always lend themselves super well to colliding with other opponent cars on track, so being the solitary car on track really allows you to get the best experience with the handling model and allows you all the room to stop and slide around properly. Much like in real life, stages are broken up with service areas, allowing you to repair any damage you may have suffered throughout the stage. Difficulty-wise, I never really had too much of a challenge with this game, especially revisiting it now. The game is very forgiving, with multiple rolls and resets do little to prevent a stage win. I was able to beat the first championship, winning every stage, frequently by more than 20 seconds over the course of a 2-minute stage. Of course, stages and championships do get harder, but the game does give the player a lot of wiggle room with their mistakes. After a roll, your car is reset quickly back on its wheels. They even point you back in the right direction just for good measure, which is a huge quality of life feature thanks to how easy it can be sometimes to roll off of the terrain. Once you get to faster stages and faster arcade levels, you do need every second of that timer or over your opponents. So being able to be reset quickly is a good way to keep the balance of pushing the car as much as possible without punishing the player too much for one mistake. Then again, difficulty-wise, I've been playing racing games for nearly my entire life, so why not get the opinion of someone who has a bit less experience with these type of games? And well, who would be better for this job than channel co-host Anastasia? Anastasia has very little experience with racing games, and as I'm sure you can tell from this footage, did struggle a bit initially. Anastasia, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll definitely agree that I did struggle quite a bit at first. I definitely struggled with the controls at first, especially with how small arrow keys are nowadays. I'm sure at the time it would have been one of those big bulky keyboards where all of the keys were the same size, but that's a thing of the past now. I also found that the controls were quite analog, quite on and off with steering, but once I got used to it, I was able to enjoy it quite a lot. It was very engaging gameplay. You quickly get into races, it's fun, it looks good, and you can lock in quickly and enjoy the difficulty. I quite like how forgiving it is, and that it's very much, oh, you crashed? Okay, you're back in. And maybe with practice, I could beat some other cars. Probably a lot of practice, especially considering I'm not used to many racing games other than Mario Kart. But overall, I had a lot of fun. However, since I had to suffer through all of this, I'm making you play one of my games next time.
Thanks for that, Anastasia. I can't wait to see what terrific game you make me play next time. Another notable feature in V-Rally that I failed to mention before is the track builder mode. Now, I never used this mode properly as a child, but it's pretty in-depth upon reflection. You can change elevation, scenery, track type, where the stages are looped or end-to-end, and there's a lot you can do with the track builder, and really it's quite intuitive. But back in the old days, every Ryan track would be some form of hairpins, large elevation, and then the biggest drop that you can possibly make, always trying to make large mega ramps, which is something I sort of did in my replaying of it now. When I was a kid, my designs were marginally more fun to drive than Herman Tilke's F1 tracks. Perhaps I missed my true calling as an elite roller coaster tycoon player. Now, like I said, I tried my hand at it again this playthrough, and I didn't mind it at all. Unfortunately, I'm not really great at designing rally stages, but the mode being easy to use really makes it quite simple to have a lot of fun with. You can even auto-generate tracks, making them complex, bumpy, high elevation, low elevation, really long, or really short. I think it's a great addition to the game mode, and I wish it's something that games had more often nowadays. Dirt 4's track generator sort of was close enough, but the freedom this game allows you to use is really unmatched, and I believe it's partially to the way the game stages are stored in the memory of the game, which allows them to be easily modified. Now, the number one thing that most gamers care about when it comes to racing games is the car list. In fact, it was the main thing that brought me back to this game in the first place. V-Rally 2 features a massive who's who of 90s rally icons. It features the full 1999 season WRC cars, including the main rally class, the 2-litre and the 1.6-litre kit cars, Ford, Toyota, Subaru, Mitsubishi, Hyundai, Peugeot, Nissan, Renault, Skoda and Vauxhall all feature their official WRC entries. Not to forget, there are also extra bonus cars that are featured in the game, from the Pikes Peak Legend Peugeot 405 to the Renault Alpine A100 to the GT4 Celica. The car list is full of iconic vehicles and is just about guaranteed to have your favourite rally car, provided it's from before the year 2000. The game features 26 to 27 cars, depending on the version of the game you play, the Expert Edition for PC and Dreamcast having one bonus Brundle Toyota Corolla, which is essentially just the WRC Toyota Corolla with a new livery. Now, the variety of this car list is pretty fantastic for its era. It's spread across all official classes, and the bonus cars really help keep things fresh. allowing you to try lots of manufacturers and come against a good variety of opponents in V-Rally Trophy and Championship. The bonus cars do a great deal of heavy lifting to help extend the playtime. There's nothing else really to unlock. You unlock a bonus car for beating each championship and stage in each game mode. And then you also unlock the Pikes Peak Peugeot for hitting 10,000 driver points through your playtime. And ripping around in the Pikes Peak Peugeot and the Castrol Celica are all I've ever wanted. Especially since both cars are a little hard to come by in recent games. In terms of mainstream games, the Peugeot was last seen in Dirt Rally and the Celica in Gran Turismo 7, but their absence from the latest WRC game is certainly a shame. Especially considering Gran Turismo 7's dirt physics, it's not really ideal with what you want in a rally game. Now, alongside unlocking the Peugeot 405 at 10,000 driver points, you also unlock the video Climb Dance. Climb Dance is a short film depicting Art Vatanen setting the, at the time, record time up Pikes Peak of 10 minutes and 47 seconds. The video was filmed on the last run of the day, and oh boy, is this cinema. I'll link the video in the description, because if you haven't watched Climb Dance in its original form, you're missing out on a massive piece of racing history. Whilst Pikes Peak is technically a hill climb, it fits perfectly within this rally game, and really it typifies the ultimate goal of going super fast in one direction up a very steep hill, which really isn't that all rally is really about. And I will say, the models in this game are pretty good looking for the time. Of course, they're nothing to write home about nowadays, but hey, what do you expect? The authenticity of these models is also upped thanks to a couple extra little details. On night stage, cars are fitted with rally lights, just like they would be in real life, and they are also modelled with full interiors and driver models. Cars also get covered in dirt, snow, and mud throughout the stages, adding another little bit of detail in my eyes. And really, V-Rally makes a great usage of its technology available to it at the time. Stages are littered with extra details to help give them some character. Hot air balloons, tunnels, cliffs, towns, spectators getting in the road, photographers, and even sometimes hang gliders. All really set the scene of blasting through the countryside in the golden age of rally. But really, what good are these cars if you don't have somewhere fun to drive them? Well, thanks to the WRC licensing, this game is also featuring almost every stage from the real 1999 WRC season, minus Greece and the Safari Rally, unfortunately. And V-Rally does not suffer from lack of variety with its stages and environments. These aren't just different in name only, rallies are all fairly unique and available in all sorts of conditions. Day and night versions spice things up further. Hail, rain, and heavy snow are also possible weather modifiers, further changing up the stages. And I gotta say, the night stages were probably the trickiest part of the game for me. The game certainly doesn't shy away from letting the night be dark, something modern rally games don't do as much nowadays. I'm looking at you, EA WRC. And some rallies are further spiced up by some unique environmental details to really set them apart. Canyons, rock formations, town sections, like I said, hot air balloons as well, bridges. Each stage looks pretty unique and really makes you remember what country you're supposed to be in, feel like you're there. And I gotta say, my favourite stage would have to be Corsica. I'm a sucker for tarmac rally stages, and Corsica combines this with some awesome environments and really good looking sunset skyboxes. None of the stages are really duds for me, each one feels unique and they all stand out in their own way. Now, like I touched on before, the handling model for V-Rally does take some getting used to. As Anastasia said, playing it on keyboard can be a bit tricky, but damn, that's the way God intended. It does, unfortunately because of this, have a pretty noticeable learning curve. But once you get in the swing of things, something just clicks. The handling becomes super satisfying when you get things right, and even when you get things wrong, the game doesn't punish you too badly. I found the best way to drive this game was by tapping the left and right keys repeatedly instead of holding them. Unless it was a hairpin, just tap tap tap, and that is the easiest way to get around smoothly. Once you start to adapt to the sliding and the feel of these cars, they're all great fun. Most cars and stages can be run flat out 90% of the time, using the sliding of the car to slow you down for corners instead of the brakes. Whilst this isn't the most challenging way or realistic way to set up handling, it is very fun and satisfying, which in the end isn't that all that matters. Tracks are wide enough to be manageable on keyboard, but skinny enough to keep that noticeable rally feel. Certain stages do get quite tricky at points, with tight tunnels, walls and town sections, also ditches off the side of the road, all offer bursts of challenge to remind you of the pain that rally really can cause. Thankfully, you can't careen off into the trees or into the spectators thanks to the hard walls that stages have, but going off track and hitting sharp tunnel edges can really set you back. And also, different surface types all have noticeable effects on the handling. Snow, dirt, and tarmac all require slightly different styles of attack, and rain and snow also further complicate things, just to make sure you stay on your toes. I really enjoy the handling model of V-Rally and certainly wouldn't have bothered putting the time back into this game if it was all just a pain in the ass to drive. I think true arcade races are a bit hard to come by nowadays, and don't keep the same amount of fun that they used to be. Sure, I know that sounds a little bit like Old Man Yells at Cloud about a game that was made before I was born, but games like V-Rally, Outrun, and etc. unfortunately aren't seen as much. With games more focusing on simcade styles, games like Gran Turismo, Forza, and sort of Forza Horizon, really make it a bit harder to find this specific model of handling in this day and age. Now, V-Rally 2 is by no means perfect, but it gets about as close as you can in my eyes. Car list and handling model make this game immense fun, and it's not really short on content, with trophies and championships taking up a decent amount of your time. Sure, it doesn't always look perfect, sure, it's really hard to run nowadays, and yeah, it can be a little bit clunky, but I would have it no other way. For a game to be good, it's got to have some imperfections. Looking at the reviews from the time, it's pretty clear most people enjoyed it. 80s, 70s, 4 stars, 5 stars, 3 stars, it's pretty clear that most people liked it. Except for this singular Game Informer review, which is for some reason tagged on the main Wikipedia page for the Dreamcast version, giving it a 1 out of 10. But I'm just going to ignore that for now. Now, I never really played the follow-up, V-Rally 3, but from what I can see, the career mode was expanded and the game was given pretty favourable reviews, but the series was unable to properly continue, poor sales effectively killing the series name. The original series developers Eden Games later developed Test Drive Unlimited 1 and 2, which released to relative success and have really garnered a cult status. But unfortunately the studio today is not in a great place. Currently they are owned by Animoca Brands, working on, and I quote, blockchain-based racing games.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Which I'm sure will be a resounding success. A series revival was attempted in 2018 with V-Rally 4, developed by Clayton, with a number of devs who worked on the original series. You may know Clayton from the licensed WRC games from the mid-2010s, and this seemed to be their attempt at an arcade series to run alongside. But, unfortunately, the revival failed. The car list had some fun inclusions, but was noticeably missing some staples of the Rally brand, which was surprising, especially considering their work with the WRC brand, lacking some of these iconic car manufacturers was just never going to work. Handling, stage design, UI, and all other elements were heavily criticised upon release, which led me to avoid this game when it came out, despite my nostalgia for the series. It got 6 out of 10s across the board, and seems to be the final note in the history of this mostly great racing series. If this game interests you, I definitely recommend you hop on myabandonware.com to download, as it is no longer available for sale, or pick up a second-hand copy somewhere online. You definitely won't regret it. I loved motorsport from a young age, something that I didn't really have a choice in, and rally always interested me. I was raised on V8 supercars and oval speedway racing, but there was something alluring about rally that just stuck out to me. Before the explosion of social media, there was little I could do to learn about rally and properly watch it, beyond the occasional midnight highlights on SBS. V-Rally was really the only constant connection I had to these amazing cars and this stunning motorsport discipline. V-Rally gave me a look into the golden age of rally, something that had long passed me by the time I was able to play this game, and for that, I'll forever be thankful.
Congratulations! You finished first!
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for another video on the Nostalgia Bait channel. I'd like to thank Anastasia for jumping in to help me out with this one, and all of you for watching. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that stupid YouTube stuff. Let me know if there's any other racing games you would like me to cover. V8 Supercars 3, Burnout Takedown, another Need for Speed game. I'm also considering doing some videos on some non-racing games, as that's not all I played when I was younger. After their introduction today, Anastasia will soon be releasing their own video on the Nostalgia Bait channel, so please look forward to that one. I will of course be appearing in it, and if you want to see some unhinged DS games, I'm not going to drop any more hints than that, then please make sure you subscribe for some more content from us here at Nostalgia Bait. Thank you.